that I get to go through is dreaming. You know, I'm going to share a couple more stories with you tonight about these dreams. Like I said, if you're on there, if you're out there listening live, call in, share your story. I'd love to hear some of your dreams and what they mean to you. I know for me, that was a way of me controlling my dreams because that's what I work on. I work on becoming the conductor, the orchestrator, the one who's puppeteering or the marionette who's controlling all the characters and what's going on. You know, the issue is remembering, folks. And if you don't remember your dreams, the best way to do is to start meditating before you sleep. When you meditate before you sleep, it opens your mind to these experiences. It alerts your consciousness to what is possible, what is out there. And I'm telling you, folks, there is a lot out there. When you start to look behind the veil, when you start to go into the world of dreams, you realize that there is more than just the world of dreams. You know, there's whole other universes out there, and that's, you know, I was talking to a gentleman the other day about interdimensional beings and how there's so many different options of how many different human beings are on this planet, and we just don't understand, we don't know. This is what a lot of scientists and military personnel come out and said. And, I mean, I'm not saying I've seen them. I've had things in the past growing up that I've seen, but nothing recent, folks. I know I've become way too arrogant and hurtful towards any kind of entity because I, you know, became intimidated. I mean, when you don't know what these things are and they start dealing with you, you really, you know, I mean, some people can say that they feel trust, they feel comfortability. For me, I've always been at war. I've always felt this violent feeling of disgust towards how this planet is operated and who's running it. You know, and I think that they're childish and immature, and I think that's where the whole New World Order concept comes from. Because there's obviously somebody at the top. Because why would you destroy a planet? Why would you destroy the most sacred thing we are given besides our own bodies? You know, and the more we go into cyber technology of becoming cyborgs and AI technology of passing the consciousness on to different computers, I think you're going to come see a complete degradation of what we call the soul. You know, I don't think you're supposed to do that. And supposedly that's what gray aliens are. You know, and I was talking about that the other day about hybridization and how I think we can really prevent it. And I think dreams are one of the things that we can use as a ruling guide, as a tool in our arsenal of this, you know, spiritual war, this electromagnetic war, as you could say. So, you know, that's something that we really got to look into when it comes to what are you dreaming? What are the dreams based on when you close your eyes and you wake up? What do you remember? Do you have dreams? You know, or how often do you dream? Some people say, "Oh, I never dream," but you know, I know science says you are dreaming, and I have to say, yeah, you probably are dreaming. But the question is, why aren't you paying attention? What is it that's keeping you from being able to handle two different realities? Because that's a real thing right there, folks. You want to know why you can't dream? Can you handle being in two different worlds? Can you handle going through two different distances? Can you handle two different relationships? Can you handle two different families? I mean, not just two different, but try 200 different. Try every single situation you could ever think of, getting shot, stabbed, lightning balls being thrown at you, running like a wolf, you know. I mean, I'm just trying to go through my own stuff. Let's see, let me list off zombie apocalypse. I had an 8-hour, let's go into this one. I had an 8-hour zombie apocalypse dream. This is bizarre, folks. So the zombie apocalypse broke out, and it was slow, steady, you know, people here, people there, and the way they were changing, man, it wasn't like some disease plaguing their body. It was them. Like something took over them as a being, and it just like they became these happy, crazy, psychotic creatures that would still talk to you and just like, you know, manipulate you and like, come inside and play with me. Come sit for dinner and have a cup of tea, and we will share our lovely conversations and enjoy each other. Like almost too creepy and too lovely to where it was just, you could see this darkness inside of them just trying to convince you that it was okay. So that was bizarre. And so then afterwards, these creatures started to really change into the zombies you see where they're running, sprinting, jumping, grabbing, growling, scratching. And this went on for hours, folks. I mean, it was over 4 hours of just running around, trying to find shelter, trying to figure everything out. And it just wasn't happening. Nobody knew what was going on. It was just a trip. And finally, I had woken up off and on, and it was a 4-hour dream, and by the end of the 4 hours, I ended up in this warehouse, and there were these military guys, and this is where all of the zombies started to talk again. They had gone into this whole, blah, 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 kind of thing, and they couldn't talk. They were screaming, yelling, scratching, fighting. But then they went into this where they were, I live, starting to talk, like trying to form words. And this was really weird. When they were trying to form the words, these guys in coats came in, and they were trying to find us. And me and a group of my friends, it was friends and family, we hadn't been infected. We hadn't had any problems. We've been all surviving and fighting and living, and so they came in with these coats these guys in coats came in with these syringes, and they had whole kits, they were the syringe guys, and this is a trick. And so they came up and they literally took this syringe out, and they went to go, they're like, it's going to be okay, you need to do this. And they tried to hit me with it, and I grabbed it, took it out of his arm, straight up like martial arts style, took it out and plugged him in the neck, and he just smiled and grabbed my arm gently as I injected about half of the vial into him. So I injected half of the syringe into this guy, and he's smiling, right? And he just takes it gently out of my hand and hits me right in the arm, and lets go the other half. And I feel this cold ice go through my body. And it was phenomenal, folks. And I got to say, you know what it was like? LSD. So as soon as I felt that hit my system, I knew that it was LSD. And what they had done is they had introduced high volume doses of LSD to the main population, to everybody, to where it was in the water, it was just everywhere. And somehow we hadn't been affected because we stayed away from the main supply. We were in the survival state of mind, where everybody says, oh, you're a conspiracy nut, you protect yourself. Well, that's what the dream was. It was showing me that, hey, you can survive. And I fought tooth and nail for that, guys. I woke up a couple times during that dream, and I still went back to it. I think the reason I thought it was 8 hours was because it was 4 and 4. I did it for 4 hours, and I woke up 4 times in between those 4 hours, and it still was going on. So, and at the end, like I said, it was all about LSD. And you know what the trip is? I'm a firm believer in shamanic practices where LSD, psilocybin, DMT, ayahuasca, peyote, all those things are really used, or really, when used properly, can ignite a flame of consciousness that you never knew existed. And that's where the dreams come from. And I think that's what was really showing me what was going on, is that there's the only way that the world is going to go to shit is if, the only way that we're going to get the world to peace is if it goes to shit. And I think it's already gone to shit. I think we're already in the new world order. We're already economic slaves. We're already screwed. But the best thing is those of us who live in America, those of us who live in the countries that we don't have to worry about getting shot every day, as long as we do our job, as long as we do what we can, we're still allowed to speak out. I mean, here in America, you can still speak up. You can still speak out. You can still shout out and say, hey, this is wrong. You can create a petition, create a Kickstarter. You can do any kind of crowdfunding. If you don't believe in yourself in America, then you don't understand and appreciate the amount of respect and responsibility every single American has. Because that's the reality. As Americans, we are responsible, and we have responsibility, and we are respected, and we should demand respect. Because everything we should stand for is freedom. Everything we should stand for is America, not the United States. The United States is the concept of a union, of a formation. And that's not freedom, folks. And I know I had stuff on Russell Brand today. He's kind of more socialism, but I don't think he's anything. I think, a lot of people try to push him for the socialist Nazi aspect. I think he's really just trying to say, hey, we need to find something. And I don't believe in money myself, gentlemen, ladies. I don't believe in money at all. I think profit is a dirty word. I think it's one of the most filthiest words you can even use. I mean, we're doing it for the profit. You're doing it for the profit. You're doing it for nothing. You're doing it for something that doesn't exist. It's mindless wealth. So where does it go when you die? It goes nowhere. Whether you believe in an afterlife or not, where does it go? Oh, your karmic energy. Oh, your karmic energy. If you base your life on profit, well, it's not based on life. So life and karmic energy are kind of one and one. Material possessions and karmic energy, not really. That's not the same thing. So, looking into your dreams, you can really see who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. And that's where these things have shown me and helped me see through the chaos, through the mess. And really shown me that, I think with that zombie thing with the LSD, it really gave me a metaphor, or not just a metaphor, but an analogy or an allegory into what hallucinogenics and plant chemicals can do for the psyche, can do for the spirit, and do for the human existence and evolution. And how, like the young initiates who are just going into the shamanic culture, when you first go through those visual practices, you can lose your mind as if you were a zombie, somebody going mad, crazy. And then you come back, and you form your thoughts. Excuse me, folks. You form your thoughts, you form your words, and you form your consciousness into what you have learned through that experience. And even though you may have seemed, in a physical sense, to be losing your mind, inside you could be going through one of the most wondrous journeys. And nobody can see that. And that's where the warrior, the shaman, comes in, helping guide you through those things. And that's where I feel dreams are very important. Because I personally see dreams as a form of meditation. I think meditation and prayer are words that are the same thing, but I also think that in our concept of understanding, meditation is really a state of what dreaming is. Because in meditation, you're using visualization, you're using the mind's eye. And in dreaming, usually that, in the traditional sense of Native American cultures, dreaming is considered a gate to the spirit world. I mean, if anybody's listening out there, and I'm stating this wrong, please call in, correct me. Love to hear from somebody who knows more about Native American culture. I'm still learning, even though I do have a couple. I got 3 in my family heritage there, my bloodline. But I'm very passionate just about the belief in the earth and the animal kingdom and what it can provide for us. And like I said, in Native American culture and in a lot of cultures, the dream world is a doorway. It's a gate into this other aspect of dimensional reality. And through that gate, we can truly understand not only who we are, but who we are in the sense of what we are and what everything is to us and how we are all one with everything. And that's, you constantly hear that. You hear all this talk of we are one and love is everywhere and love and light. It goes the same for darkness. Darkness is only the opposite of light. There is no such thing as good and evil. There's no such thing as dark and light. It's a human conception. It's the knowledge and experience that we've created through the concept of eating from the fruit of forbidden knowledge or forbidden truth. The tree of knowledge, knowing of good and evil. That's a simple, allegory right there in itself. Of we've gained access into this concept of what this is, when the reality is it doesn't exist. It didn't exist just before, so why does it exist now? And that's the same concept of dreams, where we think they don't exist. I mean, especially those who don't remember them. We're like, I don't dream. What is a dream? It's in my head. Well, first of all, what's in your head? Your head is simply a receiver. Your head is actually a case. And what's inside your head is a mind. And the brain is a receiver, it's a transmitter, it's a electricity producer and generator and holder. Well, it's more of a conductor, capacitor. The generator is really your heart. Your heart is constantly pulsing this electrical pulse out of this little piece inside of your heart. I forget what the name is. Little tiny little piece, like a little spark plug. And that generates energy from waves out of nowhere. It just creates this electrical pulse, and boom, there's your body pumping and pumping. And that's the electrical current that goes through your entire being. Okay, so that's how complex your body is. So to think that dreams could be a little more than just inside your head, let's take a step. Let's take a step into the sleeping mind and really see where it goes. I mean, when you fall asleep, what happens? I want you to think about that. When you fall asleep, what happens? How do you fall asleep? What causes? I just go to sleep. That's a cop-out, folks. If you don't want to remember your dreams, if you don't want to understand sleep, if you don't want to tear that veil back and introduce yourself into a new reality and change your life, that's a cop-out. How do you fall asleep? I know for me, I see visions. I see other places. That's what makes me fall asleep. I have fantasy of things that, not so much fantasy in the sense of things that I like, but Stranger Things has done